All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Stanfield and Andy Outfitters. I am Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver, and with us today, a fellow Texan, a conservative, my kind of person, your kind of person, who unfortunately still lives in fucking California, Mr. Aubrey Huff. Aubrey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Andy, Jeff, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I tell people this all the time. I get this question a lot. Aubrey, why the fuck are you still in California? Simple answer is the criminal court family justice system. I split custody of my kids. My ex-wife loves it here. I'm not leaving my boys, so hence I'm stuck in California.
A lot of respect for that.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of respect for that. We need more dads in this world.
That's right, man. It's the attack on the nuclear family, fathers, and honestly, masculinity. And I think you guys would agree.
Yes.
So you went to college for a little bit, Vernon College. That's only about an hour from us.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So where you guys located?
Knox City, about an hour south of Vernon.
Yeah, this is funny. I'll get right into it. When I was in high school, I went to West Fort Worth Brewer High School in White Settlement. So I still catch a lot of shit for that because I'm a racist, apparently, now that I'm a conservative Trump supporter. And anytime people find out I'm from White Settlement, they're like, oh, figures, right?
Makes sense.
So, yeah. In my high school there, I was a senior. I hit 300 with one home run. That's hardly like the stats of a future big league baseball player as a senior in high school. I had no scholarship offers and nowhere to go. And so I decided, you know what, I got to find somewhere to play. And I heard of this Vernon Junior College, and they were hosting a little tryout. They needed a backup first baseman. And I went to try out. The coach saw something in me and said, well, Aubrey, you're 6'4", 185 soaking wet. You're kind of a shortstop. You're going to need to gain some weight, but you made the team. I like what I see. You're going to have to gain some weight in 3 months in order to play for me. And that 3 months, I gained 25, 30 pounds. I ate like a horse. I lifted my ass off. The starting first baseman, start of the season, hurt himself. I jumped right in, ended up hitting 417 that year with 17 bombs, made all conference, and then went to University of Miami, 2-time All-American there, and then the big league. So it happened like that. So Vernon was really, for me, a special place that got me started.
So we're leaving Vernon, Texas, which is not a metropolis by any means, to the University of Miami. I bet the quality of the pieces of ass in Miami are a whole lot better than in Vernon, Texas.
I'll tell you what, Jeff, it's interesting. As you all know, conservative women are just hotter. It's fucking science, right? So
Yeah.
I found that, honestly, the conservative women in Vernon and in Texas all around were actually a lot more attractive. And I found that when you went to Miami, and at the time, Miami was a independent school. So you're getting a lot of liberal women from New York, et cetera, et cetera. And I wasn't a fan, to be quite honest with you. Now, when we visited places like Florida, the Gators, Tallahassee, the Seminoles, wow, we're running around that town. That was some hot ass. But it gets better as you get up in the ranks, right? Junior college, Miami, certain towns, awesome. Minor leagues, you go kind of back to Slump Buster City, Skankville, some of these, And then you go to the big leagues, and it's instant, just like in Bull Durham. Women have brains and legs for days, right? So, well, not really brains, but legs for days.
Yeah, Vernon's a shit. When were you there?
So I was Miami. I was there 97, 98. I was there 96.
In Vernon? I'm sure it was still a shithole back then. It's gotten worse. I mean, it's not my wife. Funny enough, my wife's family is from Vernon, and I don't like going up there. Not.
Yeah, you drive through it on the highway. You blink, you're through it already. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
But I will say this: like I said, it gave me my start. If it wasn't for Vernon, I wouldn't be here right today. So
You gained 20 pounds in the off season. Did the high school? Oh, excuse me. The high school that you went to, was there just not a weight program, or?
No, there was. Matter of fact, I was actually a better basketball player in high school my senior year than I was a baseball player. I could jump through the roof actually and dunk and shoot a 3-pointer like a motherfucker. I could shoot a mean 3 still. And I actually had a Division II scholarship to a school in Kansas to start for their basketball team, full ride. And I almost took it, but in my mind, I knew that I'm white, I'm 6'4", and I can't jump. I had no future in the NBA. Right. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to try and continue on with my passion and my dream of playing Major League Baseball, which when I told my friends I was going to go and walk onto a college in junior college in Vernon and not take the Kansas scholarship, they laughed at me. Thought I was fucking crazy. Hindsight's 20. Looking back now, you know what's funny? All those guys on that team that laughed at me in 2010 when we were playing the World Series in Arlington, Texas against the Rangers. You know how many of those motherfuckers were asking for tickets? And guess who many? And each one of them got a big fat eat a dick, right?
So all the guys that were talking shit, then they wanted World Series tickets from you.
Well, yeah, and they wanted World Series tickets. They wanted to go party after the game, and needless to say, none of those emails or texts or phone calls were returned. So that's the sweet revenge right there.
Now I know there's a lot of hard parts of being a major, but is that one of them? Cutting off people that maybe you went to high school with or college with, like is that one of the hurdles that you have to jump and figure out as a major leaguer?
Yeah, you definitely build this wall up of kind of not. And I hate to say this, it's hard to trust people on the outside world, right? So you build this bubble up, you know, people are always after you for your money, your contacts, your influence, women. I mean, it's just, even when you get out of baseball, it's the same thing. Like, I have 5 friends that I would go to war with. Everybody else is just an acquaintance, right? And so I'm very hard to let anybody into my little circle. You got to be pretty much a lifelonger, and it's going to take a lot for you to get on the inside of my crew. But yeah, it's and that's pretty much standard by pretty much every single professional athlete I've ever talked to, out of baseball, out of football, because everybody just in this society, they want to use you for money, everything. And especially here in this like liberal-based Southern California area, it's all about the money, the dollar, the status, the bullshit. And I'm a very conservative, I don't give a fuck guy. Like, I have fuck you money, right? I don't care. I'm very cheap with it. The only thing I spend my money on is like memories and hanging out with my boys, right? Traveling. I love to travel. I can't sit still. That's one thing I think baseball taught me, is you're always go, go, go. And once that stops, it's hard to turn that off.
I can imagine. So
I've noticed a lot of your posts. You're anti-athlete right now, basically. And the pro ball players that I've been around, being in the hunt business, I've hunted a lot of pro athletes. Well, most all of them are conservative guys, but none of them will speak up and say anything. Does that drive you crazy?
Batshit. And don't make no mistake, I'm not anti-athlete. I'm very pro-athlete. I'm just anti-athlete not saying anything. And I tell people this all the time. The vast majority of all professional athletes, I'd say, especially baseball players, 80% are conservative. It's the liberal, soy-infused, geeky, analytic stat geeks that are in the front office that are running the game, right? Those are the liberals. Those are the people that uninvited me to my 2010 World Series reunion in 2020, right? And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, battling cancel culture. But, you know, the one thing I will say, Jeff, whenever I get a ton of private messages from celebrities, A-list celebrities, $300 million professional athletes across every sport, political elites that are on Fox News, you know, that you would be like, holy shit. And they all say, Aubrey, my God, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. You're speaking on behalf of all of us. We have jobs. We can't really say we'll get attacked by the media mob, blah, blah, blah. And especially the athletes, I say, guys, why the fuck aren't you saying nothing? I mean, especially some of these A-listers, or not A-listers, but big-time superstars. They're not going to fucking cancel you. They're not going to make you take a vaccine if you step up and say something. And if you get all you guys combined and say something, this would be gone tomorrow. And universally, every single guy's like, well, Aubrey, it's not about the money. It's not about my career. If that went away tomorrow, I wouldn't care. It's about the safety of my family. Like when I'm on the road, it would freak me out if I was to speak out against this shit and leave my family at home on the road when I'm not there. So, but what kills me about it, who are you scared of? It's not like the big bad government's going to come assassinate you like the Clintons. I mean, that ain't going to happen. Who's going to say anything? These skinny, fucking no muscle tone, soy drinking, man bun guys that think they're tough wearing black Antifa gear with masks on, or the fat liberal Karens. They ain't gonna do nothing. So I don't understand it, right? Like we are catering, we are bowing knee to a very minute, small population who unfortunately has all the media voice and the power. And guys like us who speak out against it, we're censored as fuck. And so our voices don't really get out there unless we do podcasts like this. Mainstream media, it's not happening.
No, it's not. I mean, you think about it, like Dak Prescott has come out and said, it's not any of your business if I've got a vaccine. They're not going after Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's gotten in a bunch of shit for not wearing a mask and stuff. Like if any one of those guys or both of them came out and said, no, this is horse shit, it's none of your business what I fucking do, it would all go away tomorrow because they're not going to cancel a guy like him. And then that would get the ball rolling for other people to be like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that Tom Brady, everybody already knows he's anti-vax and he will never take that. That motherfucker doesn't even eat strawberries, right? So, there's no way that he's getting vaxxed. But you're right. It would be so detrimental. I think he would be the biggest voice in the world on this right now. Tom Brady came out and said, hey, you know what? I'm never getting vaxxed. And I recommend that any of you guys in the NFL that don't want to get DeAndre Hopkins, yes. I think it is. Yeah, that son of a bitch came out recently and started standing up against it, which we need more voices like that. So good for him. But Tom Brady, man, these big superstars, Mike Trout, I've called him out on social media before, like, where are you at? No way you take a vaccine. I mean, you're jacked, strong, young man. There's no way you're taking a vaccine. We're these huge voices, and I know they're out there. I get them every day in my social media messaging. So I just don't understand the fear and why you guys aren't speaking.
See, I think the athlete that could make a big difference would be Patrick Mahomes, because he's young and he's in cool with all the young people and the media loves him. If he come out and said, I'm not doing this shit, it would go a long way. But an older guy like Kurt Schilling, he's not in the Hall of Fame because he's a Republican. He's a conservative, so they've blackballed him from the Hall of Fame, which I think is a bunch of bullshit. And I don't understand why the athletes don't get together and tell the media to go fuck off. I really don't. It wears me out.
Well, and the funny thing is, when you look at the media, and it's every single locker room I've ever been in, who's the media guys? They're the guys that have this. They're wearing XXX, 4X extra large shirts. They got it tucked in their beer bellies out here. They got tits bigger than a stripper's, and it's like, I mean, we're scared of these guys. Like, I mean, and they're telling us, how to live our lives, how to eat healthy and get vaccinated for health. I mean, fuck off. Like, it's absolutely insane what's happening as we're pandering to these guys by giving them free, like, French fries and cheeseburgers to get vaccinated, free beers, free lap dances. Who are they targeting with this vaccine? And this is my theory. I say it all the time. I think they're targeting the low income, the poverty stricken, the uneducated, and also like the poor communities of our country, to get them vaccinated, because I believe what's in this vaccine isn't going to necessarily kill you, although it does cause a lot of problems and it has killed people. I think it's sterilizing these people, whether it be male and female, to where these people cannot no longer have kids. And that depopulation agenda that Bill Gates talks about and the elites want, it naturally over time starts to go down, because they can't do it so obviously. They just can't just stab somebody and everybody just drops dead. That's too obvious, right? So this is a depopulation agenda that over time will benefit them and have these people not have kids.
Well, this wouldn't be the first vaccine that did that. I mean, what was it, the 1800s in Georgia, I believe. I'd have to look it up, but the same type deal. get vaccinated, and it was making all these African Americans sterile. So I mean, to say that that's outside of the realm of possibility for government to do, I mean, well, now I don't think that anything's out of the fucking wheelhouse for the government to pull. It's scary.
Well, what's that saying now? It's like if it's a conspiracy theory now, wait 6 months, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's absolutely, and I'm no bullshit, guys. Andy, Jeff, when I started watching like a little bit of this shit, I was never political. I was never into that kind of stuff when I played. I could care less who was president. And then I got out of it, and I started seeing how Obama was treated and how they started treating Trump immediately, right? And I knew something wasn't stirring the Kool-Aid. And I started getting into the Alex Joneses and stuff. I started listening to him. I'm thinking to myself, this guy is fucking crazy. Like, he needs to go into a mental institution. This guy's he's a whack job trying to get likes and hits, just trying to grow his ridiculous show. And over time, as I've realized, right now looking back, he's been right about 90% of all of it. So I don't believe really that he's a conspiracy theorist. I think he's just way ahead of the curve. And never underestimate how evil these people are behind closed doors that are puppeteering these politicians, right? Those are the people that we really need to fear, not just the politicians.
It's scary how much Alex Jones is right about. Because, like, you hear something and you're like, okay. And then, like, you don't even have to fucking dig that far. And, like, there's a reference. It's like, God damn, how deep does this shit really go?
My big loss on a lot of this, or I guess I shouldn't say loss, one of the big eye-opening deals for me was I always really liked George W. Bush. I thought, here's a guy that grew up in Texas, West Texas guy, Midland. I know people that he's friends with are good people and stuff. And then I started, after he got out of office, all the shit he was doing was completely opposite of all the things he stood for before. And he's a deep state piece of shit in my book. I have no use for. If George W. Bush walked across the street to my house, I'd give him a fucking finger and tell him to go fuck off. That's how little use I have for him. And I used to really think he was a good American. And then I got to visit with people that know him, that have known him his whole life. They don't have anything to do with him anymore. They don't even know who he is anymore.
I think if you see any of the big time powerful politicians, presidents included, past and present, big time governors of big states, they're all into this deep state shit, right? Sir. And I think, these Freemasons, they all have this skull and bones shit. I mean, they go to northern San Francisco here. What is that place called where they worship
Bohemian Grove?
Bohemian Grove. Yeah, that's another thing Alex Jones uncovered and made true. And people thought he was crazy. And that's a sinister agenda. And I think the one thing that Donald Trump has really done, who is not a deep state guy, is drawn kind of attention to that, how corrupt all these fuckers are, not just Democrats, but Republicans as well.
Amen.
And, and I think that's one of the biggest things that they're doing right now. It's a divide and conquer. This theory that Republicans and Democrats should be that far divided. I think if we unite as, whether it's liberal and conservative people, we have a common enemy. It shouldn't be each other. It should be our own government, right? Because they're fucking pulling. It's divide and conquer, this racial division with the George Floyd nonsense. And then now it's the anti-vaxxers versus vaxxers. There's always this divide they're trying to pull on the TV. And it starts on the mainstream media, in which they own all of it. And it blows me away, fellas, that people don't see this. I'm not a book smart kind of guy. I went to University of Miami. I had a 2.7 at University of Miami, and I fucking cheated. All right. So, but what I have is what I like to call common sense, a really good way of reading the room. And when something doesn't add up, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, I question things. And I don't know. To me, that's smarter than having a fucking education.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's one thing that we do not have as a country anymore. We might have a lot of book smart motherfuckers out there, but when it comes to common sense, we are getting blown out of the water. And I've got 2 young kids, and I mean, well, the 6-year-old, he's so literal, and I don't know. But it's just like, I don't know if we're failing as parents. I don't know if we're failing as a society, but kids need something, and I don't know what it is.
Well, we're failing in the public school system.
Oh, absolutely.
What have we done so far? I mean, It's an attack on boys if they're acting out, right? If they're shown to be too rambunctious, too confrontational, aggressive, competitive, which is what is inherently in a young boy's DNA. What are they doing? Teachers, who are mostly women, tell their parents that they're a distraction and they need Ritalin. So we're pumping this fucking shit into boys that don't need it,
right,
and feminizing them, and teaching them that anal sex at like 5 years old, that dressing as a woman is okay if you're a boy, that you can choose your own gender at this. It's fucking ridiculous. And how did it all start? By taking God out of our public school system. No more prayer, no more standing for the national anthem. It's a slow indoctrination of these kids, and that's the big problem. And we're seeing it everywhere. It's just not schools, it's workplace, it's in marriages, taking God out of everything. And when you do that, the fucking whole United States crumbles, in which one nation under God is no longer a country serving God.
That's exactly right. Hang on, you're frozen again. Let me try one more thing here. Podunk fucking internet. I'm telling you what, Aubrey. That's another.
Honestly, it might be me too. I don't know.
That's another thing that you need to start ranting against is fucking internet. Just get it and be done with it.
Hey, I'm gonna bring up something.
We're still recording though.
We're on recording again.
We're good.
Did you see O.J. Simpson coming out now preaching to these guys about Cole Beasley that he needs to have a fucking vaccine? Here's a guy that fucking murdered 2 people. Everybody knows about it, but he's going to tell everybody about how they should be living.
You know, what's interesting is Cole Beasley, I reached out to him to get him some swag, some of my Alpha American swag. He reached out to me immediately. I'm just sending him about 10 large shirts for him to. I told him, I said, you don't even need to post them. I just want to send it to you because I love what you're doing to stand up against this shit. And it is funny, right? Like O.J. Simpson, out of all people, to have this holier than thou stance on anything. Fuck you. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw Michael Irvin come out, who did rails of coke off hookers' asses, is talking about getting a vaccine, or you don't care about winning. I missed that seminar where a correlation between getting a shot and winning go hand in hand. So that's just fucking absolute retarded talk right there. And I'm ashamed that we both went to the same alma mater, the U. Of course, he I don't think went to school as much as I did.
Yeah, you don't think he had a 2.4 GPA like you did?
I don't think he ever went to a class.
Michael Irvin would not have made it in today's NFL.
How do you figure?
He would have been kicked out. He would have never got drafted because all the other shit that was on him. He would have been Josh Gordon, is what he would have been. I'm not talking about skill wise, because he's a player. He's a big time player, an athlete. But he would have never got drafted because all the shit in his background. Social media would have ruined his ass. The Cowboys in the early '90s would have been ruined because of social media.
I say this, and I say this all the time. People are like, Aubrey, don't you wish you're playing in today's game? You'd make so much more money. I'm like, absolutely fucking not. I wouldn't have to deal with all this, woke bullshit. And even prior to when it got really bad over the last couple of years of this woke nonsense in sports, the kneeling and et cetera, it was like everybody and their mother had a fucking cell phone. So if you go out and have a good time, God forbid you make an ass of yourself a little bit, which happens a lot when you're in the big leagues or in the pro sports, you're on video. I would never, if you're smart, like this whole Trevor Bauer story, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, I would never leave my room. When you're on a high profile team making that kind of money, how do you make those kind of mistakes in this society from a guy that really knows how to utilize social media like Trevor Bauer does, and who uses that platform to kind of brand himself? Wow. I mean, that's just, to me, that's crazy.
The old baseball players that I've hunted, I've hunted some have hunted some Hall of Fame players also, and they tell the stories of playing baseball in the 70s and early 80s. That would have been a lot of fucking fun, the shit they talked about and the shit they done. Well,
so I talked to Lenny Dykstra, right?
Yes.
You remember Lenny Dykstra?
Wheels
and then that whole '92 Phillies team, right? I played with Pat Burrell, and he's really good friends with all those guys. Dave, all these old Phillies guys. He said that team could fucking run. All they were doing the entire year as they were going to the World Series is just doing blow in the plane, taking down the stewardesses, just pounding every alcohol beverage they have in there, and just they were just the dirty boys. I can't remember what they were called, and they were very open about what they were doing. So it's not like it's a secret, but man, those days, you'll never see those days again, where guys are just living the dream, living the life of playing Major League Baseball. Now, don't get me wrong. That didn't happen with a lot of teams. You don't have that kind of environment. But when I first came up with the Tampa Bay Rays, we had a lot of young guys. We weren't very good, but man, did we party. I'm not talking about cocaine and shit. I'm talking about just boozing it up, having a blast every night. I mean, you're living it. You're living the dream that every fucking man in the world wants to have. Why not enjoy it? I've never understood the guys that play and they go to their room every night and just watch television. I mean, if I was there, I was going to enjoy every single ounce of what was available.
Have you read Lenny's book that he has out? Is it Wheels Up, the name of his book? I think it is.
No, I haven't. I have not read that book. I actually had him on an old podcast I was doing probably about 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys have had him on your podcast, but I'm telling you now, he's out there. And he will be on your fucking show for 3 hours, and you won't even have to say a word as he's just smoking heaters, lighting up the next one with the butt of his old one. So he's.
That's a good book. It's a hell of a story. He went through lots of money in his life.
Yeah, a lot of stories. I highly doubt that he wrote it himself. Yeah, but yeah, he's an interesting cat.
So is that the part that's hard whenever you finally retire like you are now? Is it the boys, having a good time? Is that the part that you miss the most? Or is it the crowd? What's the hardest part to walk away from?
You miss a little bit of it all. But honestly, Andy, it is the camaraderie of the guys. I mean, you're going in there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock day game, and you're just bullshitting with your brothers. I mean, they're not really family. They're not really brothers. They're not teammates. They're brothers. They're family. And it's something that you can't replicate in the real world. You don't have that kind of bond with other. It's just almost impossible because it's such a free locker room. You can say what you want. You can do what you want. You can have racial jokes if you want to, and if you say something like that in today's environment, you're canceled, right? Guys just busting each other's balls. You had to have thick fucking skin to be in a locker room, and it was great. But you miss the crowd. You miss walking into a restaurant and shit's free, getting free suits. It's funny, the more money you make, the more popular you get, the more shit's free. It's kind of a backwards fucking society. It's a backwards society, but it's true. Everybody wants for free walking billboard, right? For anybody. So it makes sense business wise.
Yeah. We had Jay Buhner on. When did we have him on? It was
early this spring.
It was early this spring. And I mean, some of the stories, the locker room stories that he had, just being out on the road with these guys and just it really is. And I could see where it would be just so hard because these are your brothers. You're with them. Yeah. You go to training camp when? February? Yeah. And if you make the World Series, you go to end of October. You're with the same guys.
Yeah, it's a long year.
It's a
long year. You see these guys when you see your wife and kids.
Yeah.
Right. So it's and you miss the kangaroo courts, the stories in the locker room. I mean, I could go on and on with some stories, man. It's fucking unbelievable how crazy it is.
Yeah. So whenever are you disappointed by any of the guys that you shared a locker room with and you thought that you knew them? And then, it comes nut cutting time, kind of like we're in now, like for them to say something and they're quiet. Are you disappointed in some of the guys that you were in the locker room with?
No, because, everybody has their own reasoning, and just because I believe something, I'm not a cancel culture kind of guy. Like, just because I believe something doesn't mean they believe in it. I mean, I know a lot of guys do believe in conservative values, and I know a lot of guys are Trump supporters, and I also understand why they wouldn't speak out because of what they told me. It's in fear of, especially over the last year, you see all these like crazy organizations and groups canceling people and burning shit to the ground. I'd be afraid for my family too if I was out of town. Right. So, but knowing me, I would just still talk a lot of shit. I mean, I know the media would come to me in the locker room right now. First foremost on everything every day. Because I just feel like the more we fight back this cancel culture as a society, the better off we're going to be. And these people that are pushing all this shit are getting exactly what they want, just silencing people, right? I started watching Dan Bongino's Canceled in the USA recently. It's a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, check that out. Just how many people are getting fucked by cancel culture. And what, you can't cancel me. Fuck you. I'm out. I'm a millionaire, multimillionaire. I got my own T-shirt line. I'm working from home. I'm about to have my own podcast shooting up. You can't touch me. I don't care.
And I think that's what scares them the most. You know, podcasts. Fuck. I mean, it's not regulated. You can get on and say whatever the hell you want, and you know.
Yep.
And you, like you said, you've got fuck you money. So I mean, you can grow that. You can grow your clothing line, and there's not a fucking thing they can do about it, and it scares the shit out of them.
Yep. Well, the one thing that can happen though is, as you know, you guys have a podcast. How do you promote it the most?
Sponsors
through social media, right? So, and once you upload a podcast, you throw it on your social media. You got to fuck you, censor, right? So, you got to make sure that you build your following really, really nicely. That way, you can just kind of reach out to them directly, and through email blasts, etc., and then they can download your shit. But I've had that problem before already with my old podcast. Rebranding it now, but that was the big thing, censorship.
So your clothing line, was this a labor of love? Was this something that you had thought about whenever you were playing? How did we get to Alpha American?
No, I never even thought in a million years I'd be doing an apparel company. So it happened, like I told you, the San Francisco Giants in 2010. I was 7th in the league in MVP voting that year. Led the team in everything offensively. We win the World Series in 2010. San Francisco loved me. The fans loved me. The organization loved me. I had this personality when I was in the clubhouse, kind of this rambunctious, say anything kind of guy. And the media loved it. The fans loved it. And so I don't know if you guys know how it works. Every 10 years, typically, in any pro sport, you'll have a 10-year reunion, bring all the guys back. And just so happened last year, 2020, was our 10-year reunion. And I'm working out in the gym one day, and I get a call from Larry Baer, the CEO, general manager, actually the president of the Giants, thinking, oh, hey, here's my invite to the 2020 World Series reunion. And so he's like, hey, Aubrey, how you doing? We catch up a little bit. And he said, unfortunately, we're going to have to uninvite you, Aubrey, to the reunion this year. Fuck off, Larry. Shut up. Because, we obviously fucked around a little bit. He's a Trump supporter, for Christ's sakes. And I go, what are you talking about, dude? Are you fucking serious? Is this April Fool's? He goes, no, Aubrey, unfortunately, I love you. And the board has rights to, and a lot of your tweets are offensive to them. And they feel like you're not branded for this organization in particular here in San Francisco. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me my Twitter account, my First Amendment rights are being violated by your board, and you're the president and you can't do shit about it? Now the board has rights. And I said, hold on, Larry, does this have something else to do with it? Is it because I support President Trump? And he got quiet for about 5 seconds. He goes, well, no, he stuttered, right? I knew it did, right? So there was a lot to it. And so that was it, man. And I was fine up until that moment. I was willing to just ride off into the sunset, be retired, raise my kids, do my thing. And then I got canceled, right? To not be able to go to an event where I know without me on that team, they don't fucking win that ring. They don't make millions of dollars. And they cancel me because they don't like my fucking tweets. That pissed me off. And I'm thinking to myself, how can I get back at these motherfuckers? They woke up a sleeping giant, literally. And I thought to myself, how can I battle cancel culture? And I started following a guy called Sean Whalen, who has Lions Not Sheep apparel brand. I'm like, this fucking guy, I love what he says. He's just like me. So I reached out to him and talked to him about how he did all that shit, because I had a lot of good ideas to put on T-shirts. And he kind of gave me some pointers to go about it, and I just started fucking figuring it out, and here we are. And it's the first, 4 shirts that I printed. I got 200 of them, right? 50 each, just to test the market. Fellas, they sold out in a day, gone. Wow. I ordered another 1,000. They were gone in a week, and now I've just gone over $115,000 in sales in 3 months. It's been fucking absolutely insane.
So on this team with the Giants that you were on, have any of your teammates reached out to you that told you that they think you're right and that the organization is wrong?
Well, that's what's funny. A lot of my haters on Twitter are like, oh, your teammates uninvited you. They fucking hate you. They don't want nothing to do with you. They think you're an asshole. It's not the fucking teammates. It's the organization. It's the liberal douchebags in the front office. The teammates, every single one of those guys in 2010 was damn near conservative, right? So I still keep in touch with so many of those guys on the team. I don't want to name names because you know how that shit is. And just do the math. 90% of them, go look at the roster. You'll know. And I get these guys text me all the time like, dude, you were fucking so funny and you're cracking me up. Because people think when I'm on Twitter or whatever, I'm posting my shit, they think I'm literally crazy. But it's honestly to get a rise out of all these pussies that don't know how to take a joke, that take everything so seriously. They're trying to cancel everybody. I go over the top on shit just to make them upset, and it makes me laugh. It's almost like I get off on their tears. I just love it.
And, I mean, you know, there's no such thing as bad publicity, so, you know, if Aubrey Huff goes off on a Twitter rant, hey, that's going to equal more T-shirt sales.
I'm telling you what right now, I don't get it, man. Like, for me, it's good business sense to have half the people hate you, half the people love you. It's like the Howard Stern syndrome, right? You know, why you listen to Howard Stern? He's an asshole. Can't wait to hear what he has to say next, right? Everybody wants to hear it, right? So whether you hate me or like me, you're fucking following.
Yeah, and that's so strange because, like, they follow you to get pissed off at you. I don't know if it's like this, if it's like just to reaffirm their bias of you. Like, I told you he was an asshole, Margaret. Look at what he's posting.
No, they're miserable people. They wake up in the morning and look for anything to justify why they're so miserable, why they're so victimized, why everybody else is so successful and they're not. Because they don't have the stones to go out and be a capitalist pig, to take advantage of a free market in America that's given them every opportunity to do so. I'm so sick of this fucking white privilege bullshit being crammed down everybody's face. My dad was murdered when I was 6 years old. My mom had to work 3 jobs raising my sister and I in a double wide trailer, and I had no opportunities. Nobody in the big leagues. I had to work my ass off to get where I was. So I don't want to hear any nonsense about this. You know, Aubrey, you're a white man in a white world and got all the way to the top because you're white. Fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you. I'm sick of it. It's just, and this whole racial card, it's gotten to be such nonsense. And I don't give a fuck. You know, people call me I'm racist all the time. I'm not racist. You know what I am racist against? Fucking stupid people. Lazy, entitled, fucking stupid people.
Well, you know what? LeBron James, a perfect example of that. If anybody in the world is raised with any kind of privilege, it would be someone with him that's got athletic privilege. They don't ever talk about that. He's 6'9", 275 pounds. He's cut like a bag of dope, I guess you'd say. He's a hell of an athlete. But they don't ever, I mean, he's got some athletic ability, and he's done the most with it. But it pisses me off when they talk about privilege when 90% of all the athletes out there have got some kind of privilege, but they had to work their ass off to get there. And they don't ever talk about that shit, ever.
He's the type of athlete I just don't understand. If you're making that kind of money and you're that successful, you know what it takes to grind your ass off your whole life. And then you're going to go liberal and talk and want all these liberal policies to take half your salary and to, you know, I just don't get it. How can you be a pro athlete, believe in capitalism, and then want to vote liberal Democrat? So to me, I feel like LeBron James, he doesn't really believe what he's saying. I totally believe that LeBron James is 100% bought off and paid for.
Yeah, by China.
And like, you know, there's no way that he believes what he's saying. Everything, he is such a powerful influence on the world that he can be bought off by the elites and influence so many young, confused minds.
He could do more to fix inner city problems with just his voice than anybody else out there.
1,000%. But, you know, he'll go on an HBO show and talk about how much he hates white people.
Yep.
So, you know, there's that. So I don't know, man. That's and could you imagine, like, if Tom Brady went on a show like that and said how much he hates black people? Oh, my God. He'd be done. He'd be fucked. Right. So I don't know. Just the double standard of all this shit, the way it's going down. And it drives me batshit.
So what do you you look like you're in the best shape maybe ever. I mean, you're fucking built like a brick shit house. How many hours a day are we working out now?
Well, I work out probably like an hour a day. That's really it. But I got to a point when I retired, I let myself go for quite a while. Gained about 30 pounds, got fat, out of shape, depressed, struggling with anxiety, depression, went through a divorce. And once I hit that divorce, I'm like, dude, fuck, something ain't right. I wasn't feeling right. I had no motivation, no energy, and I had no idea what was going on. And then I went to all kinds of doctors, nothing came back, abnormal. And then a buddy of mine was like, dude, I bet you $1,000 you got low testosterone count. I'm like, really? No fucking way. He goes, every symptom, he was a doctor buddy. He goes, every symptom you're describing is low T. I'm like, fuck off. I feel like, I just got out of baseball. I felt great in baseball, but 3 years had passed and I started feeling like shit. Going to the doctor, I had a testosterone count of 170, wow, which is that of an 80-year-old man. And so, yeah. And, I was wondering why I didn't want to have sex, didn't want to bang my wife at the time. So, I'm completely convinced that my low T cost me my marriage, 1,000%.
Just because you weren't in the mood ever?
No, I didn't care about anything. I wasn't horny for anybody, much less my wife. So I could barely get a hard on. It was that bad. And I didn't know why. I did not know why. And so I started supplementing with testosterone. And within a month, guys, it was like, holy shit, anxiety gone, depression gone. I was in the gym, motivated. I'm in the best shape now that I've ever been. Now, I'm not saying to go out there, go to Mexico and get testosterone and blindly shoot it. You got to do it correctly, right? And I'm very structured. You got to get blood work done every 6 months. I just got involved with the company that I'm working with, Prime Body, and I'm going to be helping guys that I believe is an epidemic in this country is low testosterone levels, and we're seeing it all over the place. And I think that's a big problem.
Were you diagnosed ADD or anything? Did you take Ritalin or anything?
No, I did take Adderall.
Do you think that contributed to your low testosterone?
I know it did. 1,000%. I was perfectly fine for my whole life. And then towards the end of my career, when I was with the Giants from 2009 through 11, a little bit of 12, for 3 years there, I was on Adderall, 50 to 100 milligrams a day when I was prescribed 20. I was just abusing it. And then I'd pound like 12 beers a night just to pass out for 3 straight years. And when I came out of that and retired, dude, everything had plummeted, right? So I guarantee it was a lot of that. So I often warn people about the dangers of Adderall. So my testosterone levels had just literally shut off from the Adderall. And now I have to supplement the rest of my life. And people, there's a bad stigma that's associated with the testosterone replacement therapy. Mm-hmm. Well, Aubrey, if you take it, you'll shut off your levels forever. I'm like, well, it's already shut off, right? I might as well, be better off with it.
I was at 187 before I started taking the fucking shot. What I got to lose?
I mean, I literally had a gun to my head in 2014. I was that bad. I mean, this close to pulling the trigger. So it literally saved my life, testosterone replacement therapy.
Whenever you get that low, what keeps you from pulling the trigger?
Faith in God. I just always believe that, no matter how low you get, he's always there. And I grew up in Texas, went to a Baptist church, and just knew that, I was told you commit suicide, you're going to hell. I'm just sitting there thinking, gosh, if I pull this trigger, I'm going to be fucking burning forever. And, my dad had got murdered by a gun when I was 6 years old as a kid in a domestic dispute that he was breaking up between a wife and a husband. And he got shot in the back of the head from a .357 Magnum. And then I had the exact .357 Magnum up against my head in my closet in 2014, ready to blow my brains out. Talk about fucking full circle, right? So it kind of woke me up, jarred me. It was like God got my attention. And I started trying to figure out what was wrong. And that's when shortly thereafter, I feel like it was a God thing. A buddy intervened and said, hey, you got low T. I mean, it was literally like a week or two after that incident. And started taking testosterone. And within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I mean, it's like, holy shit. I wasn't having panic attacks anymore. I wasn't depressed anymore. I started getting motivation again. Game changer. Fucking game changer.
I didn't realize that Adderall contributed to that.
I didn't either. I don't think most people do. I think that's why they hand it out like fucking candy.
What?
Well, your natural testosterone is always boosting your endorphins, right? Your all your endorphins, etc. And when your natural testosterone is gone, those endorphins go away as well. So you have to supplement tea to get those endorphins to shoot back and fire up again.
I've only taken Adderall a handful of times. It didn't do a whole lot for me. I never drank on it. I took it just fuck college and shit like that. But
me and your mom are so proud.
What?
What's
it's not like I'm fucking. I mean, Jesus Christ.
What's the shit Frank Thomas is pushing right now?
That's
I don't know. I feel like that shit's just. I don't even think he takes it. I think it's just something that, it's just a company that paid him a lot of money to endorse it. It's like Fred McGriff's Tom and Mansky wearing the straight hat back in the day, talking about those instructional videos. Yeah. No way Fred McGriff did any of those instructional videos, right? I don't know. I just Frank Thomas is a natural huge motherfucker anyway. What he's taking is not making him look like that. He was that big before all that shit. So
it's not giving him the cock work that the ladies on the commercial are making it act like either, probably.
I've talked with Frank several times in my career and hung out with him a little bit. And he's the biggest teddy bear in the world, the greatest guy in the world. And to see him with these girls like in this commercial, knowing he's got a beautiful wife at home, I'm like, this is such a setup. So, come on, shut up. It's absolutely ridiculous.
He put the big hurt on you.
And
the big train.
I got a baseball question for you before I forget. What do you think about all the bullshit with the Houston Astros from a couple years ago?
I'm all for cheating, the way baseball is supposed to be cheating, right? Like, if I'm at second base, I'm giving signs. I can read the pitcher. Great. Hey, here comes the fastball, and we did it in college. We'd catch the pitcher's signs, and from the dugout, like my nickname in college was trailer trash. So if it was a fastball, hey trailer, here we go. I knew a fastball is coming. Hey trash, come on, rip it trash. I know a curveball's coming. Something off speed. Same shit happens to the big leagues, but that's a different type of cheating, which is allowed because it's your fault if you're a pitcher tipping your pitches, right? Fuck you. You should do better. Catcher, you're reading the catcher signs, do better. But when you're using technology and shit behind the dugout on television to do that, then I have a problem, right? Like that's fucked up.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's funny because that's basically the same sentiment that Jay Buhner had whenever we were talking to him about it. He's like, I'm all for it, just like you said, like if the pitcher fucks up and, whatever, I'm all for getting the signs that way. But whenever you start going to another level of, electronics and what did the guy have? He had like a wire on, didn't he? Or some shit like that.
He still had to hit the fucking ball though.
Well.
Yeah, but it's so much easier to hit the ball when you know what fucking's coming.
Right.
Well, that's probably true.
And that's where I have a hard time with steroids. Now, I understand it'll boost your power and all that other stuff, but you still have to put a fucking round bat on a round ball and take that son of a bitch yard for the steroids to work.
People talk shit about Barry Bonds all the time, and it pisses me off. I'm like, dude, I don't give two fucks how much testosterone that guy took. Whatever. When you are so feared and you walk 220 times a season and you don't know if a pitcher's even going to pitch to you, and when he does throw you maybe that one strike a game that you may get, you don't hit a fucking single. You hit it out of the park. The amount of hand-eye coordination and patience and discipline that guy had, I don't give a fuck. You can't steroid that up. That was amazing what he did. And I played in San Francisco, man, as a left-handed hitter. That is the hardest place ever to hit home runs as a left-handed hitter. It's 421 to right center with a 45-foot brick wall in the marine layer at nighttime with sprinkly rain all the time. If he was playing in Yankee Stadium, I guarantee you he hits 100 home runs that year.
He got walked one time with bases loaded. Didn't they intentionally walk him one time with bases loaded?
Yeah. It was like late in the game. It was bases loaded, and the Giants were down by like 2. And the opposing manager's like, well, fuck, I'm not going to – it was like a 2-0 count. We either walk him here or throw him a cookie. I'm not doing that because he's going to hit a homer, at least drive something. 2-0 count. You throw a 2-0 fastball right down the middle of Barry Bonds, it's going to be at least a double. And so he said, fuck it, I'm just going to walk him here. Boom, boom, walked him. And it paid off. Next batter struck out or whatever, but game over.
Is Barry Bonds still around the Bay Area?
I have no idea. I don't know Barry Bonds very well. I've never even really met him. He was way before my time there.
I saw a picture of him not long ago somewhere. Somebody was riding a bike like in the Grand Canyon, and he was on a mountain bike, and you could tell he was off the juice and shit. He weighed about $150, it looked like. But boy, he was a hell.
Oh yeah,
he was a hell of a fucking baseball player.
Yes, he was, and I maintain that he could have still been a Hall of Famer if he didn't juice up. I mean, he was already a 500 guy without the
He
juice.
should be in the Hall of Fame.
But the reason he juiced up towards the end of his career like he did is, I know for a fact he had saw what Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa had done on the juice. He's like, you know what, fuck this. They're getting all that media attention, all that money and fame for the home run race. He's like, you know what? They're not even close to half the talent I am. I'm going to juice up and show them how a real hitter is. And he fucking did.
I'm surprised that he was, after seeing Sosa, he did it because it fucking turned Sammy Sosa white.
Yeah, now Sammy Sosa's white. I don't know what happened.
Well, I don't think that was
No.
testosterone. That was him doing that Michael Jackson skin bleaching.
Yeah,
shit.
it was. That was dumber than shit. He looks like a fucking idiot when you see him nowadays.
He must be a weird cat.
Well, I don't know, man. When you do something like that, I think you got to swing both ways. You're definitely a switch hitter.
Yeah, I mean, if Michael Jackson is your standard,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just can't trust a man that's going to bleach his asshole or his face, you know?
No shit.
So, did you get to do anything with Trump whenever he was running, or did being canceled by San Francisco kind of fuck you?
Interestingly enough, when he was running for 2020 election, he was doing all these huge rallies, and his team had heard about my cancellation from the Giants World Series reunion, and they reached out to me and was like, "Hey, Aubrey, would you like to come speak at a Donald Trump rally?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I would." So they had me scheduled to go to one of his rallies up in, I think it was Florida. And so I was ready to go. I was going to go speak at the rally, kind of talk about the cancel culture, what the Giants did with me, and how we got to fight cancel culture. We got to elect Donald Trump, just all this shit. Had it all set to go. And then COVID hit, and then that was all shit canned. So
You would have been great on that, because just like you're talking about a man with a bleached out asshole, that's Donald Trump shit right there, because he could say that, and 85% of the people that vote for him, they believe the same shit. It's like the transgender bullshit. You can't tell me that 20% of this country thinks it's okay for a chick to have a dick and to be going around and be a woman and play in the Olympics. It's just not possible.
Not only that, to fucking lift weights in the Olympics. Like,
Yeah.
that's the sport that you're going to go represent, and you're a fucking dude, and you're going to compete against a bunch of other
You're
chicks.
in good shape, Aubrey. You could be in Tokyo right now as a female fucking weightlifter, probably.
Oh, I'd blow away the competition. What's stopping mediocre males from going into the Olympics right now and being the superstar? You know what I mean? Like, or going into the WNBA. It might actually make it more exciting seeing transgender guys.
It would.
Into the WNBA might actually help sales. So I don't know, man. It's just so crazy what we're allowing today. I mean, up in California here, guys, I think you can still rob places up to like $999 and just walk out scot free. Like it's fucking unbelievable. How is this allowed? Like, what world do we live in where I think we're truly living in some end times, dude? When you look around, we are living in times where evil is considered good, good's considered evil. When you're canceling good people and you're putting on a pedestal all these evil, trying to get pedophiles off, criminals out of prison. It's fucking backwards world, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I've got a fucking 6-year-old and now a 3-year-old, and I see some of the things that's going on. I thank God that I'm in a small Knox City. It's smaller than Vernon. There's 1,000 people here, and I'm glad that they don't have to go to a big high school and just get. But the thing is that shit leaves the inner city and the big cities, and it creeps its way out here. So anybody with young kids has a tough road to hoe in the next couple of years.
I can tell you a guaranteed gold medal. If you got all the guys in minor league baseball that never went to college, went straight to the minors, that have not made it, washed out to pros, could you imagine them dudes all playing fucking softball right now?
Oh, it'd be great. It'd be great. It reminds me of that story where, what was it? It was like a 13, 14-year-old boys soccer team beat the women's national team.
Yeah.
Right, for the you know what I mean? Like, but the women, they want all this equality and they want to get all the same pay as the men, and the demand is not there. It's just it's a victimhood mentality. Once again, everybody thinks they deserve more than they really do. The world doesn't work that way. And I think that's the problem we're having in our society today. We live in what we call this band participation trophy generation. I actually got a T-shirt that says band participation trophies on it. It's my bestseller.
You should.
And so what I'm thinking is all these kids that are growing up, they got all these participation trophies, are now hitting the streets and they're protesting and rioting and have this victim mentality. Why? Because now they're in the real world. They're 25 years old. They realize that, holy shit, the world isn't giving me everything. I have to actually earn it and work for this shit and make money and make a living. Fuck, it's not fair. And so they're acting out. And that's what we're seeing today. And that is, I think, one of our biggest problems.
You know, the women, like the female, the dykes, that Megan Rapinoe or whatever that fucking purple-haired bitch is that plays for the USA soccer team.
Wrapping up.
I know why you're not shown on your podcast now. Nobody sees your face.
that bitch is pissed off because she wasn't born with a dick. She's been mad her whole fucking life. She's got Peter envy. She's had it her whole fucking life, and that's her way of reaching out. Well, nobody gives a fuck. I really don't. Subway, the biggest mistake they ever made was signing that bitch to sell sandwiches for them.
No, the biggest mistake was ever made was Victoria's Secret allowing her to be on the Victoria's Secret lingerie.
Not good. Did you see some of the...
Talk about the worst business move of all time. You know what? We're going to take 99% of our viewers who love to see women that are sexy in our lingerie, and we're basically going to shit on them and put Megan Rapinoe on there, who is basically wants to be a dude. How in anybody's right mind is that? How is that even rational as a business decision? It blows me away.
Why would Victoria's Secrets want to get rid of the hot chicks in the first place? That's what they sell their business for. There ain't no fat ass chick going into fucking Victoria's Secrets that thinks she's getting sexy. They don't even sell. They shouldn't even sell a thong in a 2X. There should be a law against that shit.
It's so funny, Jeff. Yesterday I posted on my Instagram 2 just jacked, sexy ladies. You can tell they're fitness models, right? They're fitness competitors. And they had my Alpha American shirts on, women's cuts. And I posted on there something along the lines of, this is what real, strong, confident, bold, patriotic women look like. You look hot as fuck, ladies, right? That was my caption. I got all these little comments on there. And then one bigger woman comments. She goes, Aubrey, why don't you put normal women on your IG? I'm like, that is my ideal of a normal woman, a woman who's fit, that takes care of herself. We are living in a society where, my gosh, if you are fat and you eat shit and you look like shit, you go on the cover of Vogue magazine and say big is beautiful. Bullshit. No, it ain't. That's not beautiful. Get yourself in shape. And we are being just brainwashed and scared into believing all these lies, and that's not healthy. And it's a lie. If you're big like that, not only is it not beautiful, it's unhealthy, right. And you're decreasing years in your life. So it's a lie, and you want to help these women. You don't want to embolden these women like, oh, big is beautiful, big is in. Really? I challenge you ladies to go out with one of those ladies I post, and you take one of those big girls and go right with her to the bar that night. Guarantee you, I know who's going home alone.
Right.
Okay. I'm with you 100%. I'm a fat boy, but I wasn't fat when I was younger. But my wife isn't, and she's a good-looking son bitch. And if she wasn't good-looking and shit, I would never fucking asked her out. And I love her to death. But I didn't marry her for her fucking personality. I went out with her because she was good-looking.
Listen, I'm the same way, man. Listen, I'm very picky. Like, people are like, Aubrey, it's been 4 years since you've been divorced. How have you not dated anybody yet? Well, first and foremost, I've had my 11 years of servitude. I'm never marrying again because marriage today is a fucking business decision. It's a trap, right? Like, I won't fucking do it again. I tell guys all the time, if you're going to get married now in this world, I believe in marriage the way it was back in the day before the government gets in and fucked it up like it fucks up everything. But now, it's a business for all these young bitches to come up that don't have anything to offer. Marry a guy for 5 years, take half his shit and run. Fuck that. Well, I'll have a partner in life now, but I would never marry again. I'm done with that shit.
Done with it, even if you got a good prenup? Because the prenups are tricky because if you make the money, so that just protects you from her getting what you had before y'all came along, right? It doesn't count if you're married for 20 years.
I had a prenup in my marriage. So I was protected pretty good. But however, she still got a fuck ton of alimony and child support. And she got the house, so which is a pretty expensive house. So she'll never have to work again, right? And it's a criminal thing. That's one of the things I think that's biggest thing that's attack on masculinity today and taking out men and fathers is the criminal family court system. I tell guys all the time, you are fucking insane, young men today, to get married without a prenuptial agreement. And if I've had that prenup, make sure that you pay the extra money for a good attorney to make that fucker ironclad. Even if you got divorced on Mars, it still works, right? Because there's certain states that, oh, here's your prenup in Florida. This doesn't go here in California. You don't know where you're going to be in 10 years. Make sure that shit is universal, right? No matter where you are.
You know, Britney Spears is back on the market now. She got a lot of cash.
There you go. I think she's got a boyfriend.
A little bit too much crazy for my taste in there, I think.
Just a little.
Have you seen her Instagram last 2 days? She's posting the titty pics again now.
She's fucking bad.
She's
crazy.
She's fucking crazy.
You know, when you see it all the time with women around this age, they start getting around close to that 40, and they realize their sexual market value is decreasing rapidly. You know, they're wild and young and free and a boss bitch when they're younger. They pick the alpha male to provide and protect and have their kids. And then as they get older, they realize, okay, the alpha male, he served his purpose. Now I want that beta male who's rich and wants to take care of me and he'll take all my shit, right? Like I could just push him around and not have to fight and he just be there, right? You see it all the time. It's a pretty impressive psychology women have today.
Well, she's fucking nuts. She's fixing to go full-blown Kardashian. You watch. Her fucking twat's going to be shoved up on every fucking piece of Instagram there is. You just wait.
Jeff.
I'm telling you, there won't be a secret from her starfish to her lips. Everybody's going to know everything about her before it's over with.
What do you think it is? Just her trying to be relevant?
She's fucking crazy. She's a child actor or a child performer. Every one of those people are fucked up.
Well, in her defense, Jeff, I mean, you got to, if you've ever been in the celebrity limelight, which I'm sure a fat guy like yourself has, Jeff, you're not, you couldn't even imagine what it was like being her. I mean, she's out in front of stages. I mean, internationally, no, worldwide, gone through so much public bullshit. And I'm sure with, with all this shit with her family and not being free, you can only imagine like the mental implications of that. I'm sure the booze and bad decisions. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I've been in the limelight a little bit, but not at that magnitude. I can't imagine the shit that poor girl's gone through. It's got to be fucking really hard on her.
Well, and the conservatorship, like that's like a different level of fucked up. Like she can't do anything.
They said her sister's got $5 million off of her in the last 5 years.
But if you were Britney, would you want to? I wouldn't want to fucking work if I knew that it was just going to go to line these people's pockets.
She don't need to do anything. I'm gonna tell you right now. If your mom got hit by a fucking bus, I would marry Britney Spears tomorrow.
I don't.
Fucking crazy or not, bitch has got tons of money.
You'd be asking for a lot. I saw that you shared the story about Ben Zobrist and the shit that he's having to go through now. It's fucking insane. And his ex-wife is a Christian singer, and she's banging the pastor.
She's a Christian singer banging the pastor, and then she claims that because their marriage is in flux and he takes some time off to work on the marriage, she basically says I have $4 million because he quit on the team and left. That's money he should have been earning that he didn't. He's trying to work. Oh my God, it just blows me away that. That's why I'm so adamant about getting a prenup when you're making the money. And let's be honest, 90% of the time it's the guys making the money, right? So this whole thing, and now you know what's sad is she will fucking get that money.
100%.
She will get it. And if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was the guy that did that and the woman's out there making that kind of money, you go to family court, sorry, you cheated, sir, you're fucked, right? She's going to get away scot-free, become an instant millionaire. She wasn't making millions being a Christian singer, trust me. But she is going to be a millionaire now. And that's another one. That's what I just previously stated about 5 minutes ago. What's the psychology? They take an alpha male. They raise up a family. They milk everything they can out of that guy. And then you know what? I want somebody that now that I'm older, I've got all the things I needed. I got my kids, I got the money. I'm going to get a beta male that'll just take my shit and do whatever I say, and I'll be rich, and he won't do a thing about it. It's kind of, that's exactly what I was just talking
Wasn't
about.
he going to stay with her too? I thought he went counseling.
I think he was trying to, as a Christian man, stay together with it. But even Jesus would be like, okay, I think Jesus would be fine with that one too.
Well,
if he just walked away.
From what I've read, they were going to that pastor for counseling.
Yeah, he was counseling her on her problems, and he started fucking her. And
yeah,
and her shit must be so good you can throw it up in there and catch sunshine because that fucker was going to stay with her.
I think, a lot of guys in that situation, they try to stay with the wife, even if they don't want to for their kids, right? I know I was in that position for the longest time, a couple of years after, hell, even a few years after I was divorced. I was like, gosh, it would always creep in my mind, you're not with your kids half the time. I can't even imagine these poor guys that lose custody full time of their kids. That would drive me batshit. No wonder guys kill themselves.
Yeah, I imagine.
I even thought to myself, man, if I could just somehow get her back, I'd be with my kids 24/7. I'd deal with her bullshit, but at least I see my kids every day, right? And that goes through your mind, in that weird place when you first get divorced, and it sucks.
That's why so many people get divorced as soon as their kids get out of the fucking house. Graduate from school, don't have to put up with her shit anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So we're gonna start wrapping up here because I know you've got other obligations. Where can you find your stuff? Give your website and all that other good stuff for your T-shirts and all the stuff you got going on.
Yeah. So my company's called Alpha American, and it's alphaamerican.com. And then you can follow me. It's also, all of it's in the link in my bios on my social media. My Instagram is HuffDaddy @HuffDaddy76, and my Twitter is @Aubrey_Huff. And then I have a Facebook account, Alpha American. You can find it on there as well.
Hey, real quick before we let you go, any of your painting is that possibly a market that you're going to tap into later on? Because you got some amazing paintings.
Yeah, man. It's so I got a couple of those up there on the wall right there. I don't know if you can see them from here.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah,
I'm really into like superhero stuff. There's the Wonder Woman up there. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually giving away that Wonder Woman on a promo coming up here for the shirt company. So keep your ears and eyes peeled for that one.
Very good. Well, Aubrey, it has been a pleasure talking to you. If you ever get out to West Texas, your old stomping ground south of Vernon, we would love to take you hunting or anything like that. Keep fighting the good fight out there in liberal California. We need more people like you, my friend.
Absolutely. Andy, Jeff, thanks so much for having me on. It's been fun.
God bless you, bud. Take care of yourself.
All right, boys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Aubrey Huff. Interesting guy.
Huff.
Very outspoken. I like that.
I wish the video would have been better, but we had a weird connection. But
Aubrey would have made a good waterfowl guide. Yeah. He
reminds me of Andy Bennett.
He does a lot.
Yeah.
That speaks highly of Andy Bennett now, for sure.
Just an alpha.
Yep. Good guy. Need more alphas and less betas.
That's right. What else you got there, Hefe?
That's it. We got
lunchtime.
We got Cooper Olmsted going to be on with us tomorrow morning, and we're going to talk about Habitat Flats Canada and what's going on in the world there. And I don't think nobody knows what's going on with Canada, to be honest with you. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then just a week ahead of us. So anyways, appreciate y'all for listening to us. God bless you. Thank you very much.
How'd that happen? Check out all of our wonderful sponsors. Check out Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls, Dirty Duck Coffee, Shin Gear Waders, Lucky Duck, Looking Glass Duck Club Podcast, Gundog Outdoors, Goose Creek Retrievers, Bangtail, Whiskey, Eyesight Drone Service, and Stanfield Hunting Outfitters.